Europe's gas prices have doubled this year. But the bigger problem is what happens next. Prices have surged roughly 120% since January, even though winter is still months away. So why is gas getting more expensive now? Because Europe is being squeezed from both sides. Demand is rising, just as supply is tightening, while gas storage remains well below where Europe wants it before winter. And that creates one crucial question. What happens if the cold arrives before the gas does? Start with the heat wave. Summer is normally Europe's gas storage season, the months when countries build up reserves for winter heating. But record temperatures are driving up electricity demand, while drought and heat are hurting hydroelectric and nuclear generation. Gas-fired power plants are filling part of that gap, so Europe is consuming gas during the very period when it should be storing it. The hotter the summer, the harder the refill becomes. Then comes the supply squeeze. Disruptions around the Strait of Hormuz are threatening LNG flows. Norway has extended maintenance outages at key gas fields, and European buyers are competing with Asian demand for available cargoes. Europe has become much less dependent on Russian pipeline gas, but that means it relies more heavily on a global LNG market. When supply tightens anywhere, Europe has to compete for the same molecules, and that competition pushes prices higher. Now look at the storage numbers. European gas reserves are only around 60% full, heading toward the end of summer. Think of that storage as Europe's emergency fuel tank. If it is full, a cold snap can be absorbed. If it is low, every sudden drop in temperature becomes a race for new supplies. And that is why today's price surge matters. Europe is approaching the heating season with less of a safety cushion. This is where winter becomes the game changer. A mild winter could give Europe breathing room, but a long, cold winter would send heating demand sharply higher, just as storage starts falling. Europe could then be forced to compete even more aggressively for LNG with Asia, potentially driving prices much higher. So the biggest risk is not simply that gas is expensive today, it is that a weather shock could arrive when Europe has the least room to absorb it. And this is the chain that explains the entire crisis. Heat wave raises power demand. Weaker hydro and nuclear output increases gas use. Supply disruptions tighten the market. Low storage leaves Europe exposed, and a cold winter could send prices higher again. The consequences would go far beyond heating bills. More expensive gas means higher energy costs, more inflation, and potentially greater pressure on interest rates. Europe has prepared for another gas crisis. The question now is whether it has prepared enough for winter.